Hello. Hi. Welcome, everyone. We're so happy to have you here today at our third annual NGA Talks. It is such an honor to be standing up here welcoming and opening this event with 8 amazing life changers. So get excited because this is going to be awesome. These 8 have been preparing all year long for this and have been working so hard. So first, thank you so much, all of you, for coming, and for those of you that are on the live stream. I know we've got lots of people that RSVP'd to watch this event live. So welcome, welcome. And then also, thank you so much to the Magnolias First Baptist Church for having us here. This event hall is beautiful and perfect for our needs, so we're so grateful for them for this. Just a quick overview of how this event's going to work. Hopefully you guys have the program. We just have our 8 divided into 2 sets. In the middle, we'll have a 10-minute intermission where the lights will come back up. You're free to use the restroom, walk around, and then we'll start in again. We have approximate times, so don't hold us to those exact times. We're going to do the best we can to stay on track and just settle in and be amazed at what they've created. So we're going to start first with a quick word from one of our beautiful owners, because yes, they're both beautiful, Brad and Michelle. And Michelle is going to start us out with just kind of painting the picture of what we're doing here. So enjoy the talks.
Thank you. As Mindy said, welcome. This is the greatest event of the year, and I do look forward to it all year. So thank you for coming, friends and family, and I know there's lots of people online watching, so welcome, and thank you to all of you as well. All right, so I would like you to imagine being 6 years old again, unless you are 6 right now. Do we have any 6-year-olds here? Right, okay, good. Yes, we have some 6-year-olds. So imagine being 6 years old and think back to what did you do with your time when you were 6 years old? If you weren't having to do chores or whatever, what did you do with your time when you were 6 years old? And keep that in your mind. So when I was 6 and 7 years old, that's me, yep, and my cousin, I loved to do art. And I said I was going to be an artist. And I would spend my time painting pictures. And there was this one period of time where I painted the same picture. I'd get a piece of like printer paper, you know, the kind that when you paint on it, it gets all wrinkled. That was my artist's notebook, I guess. I'd get a piece of printer paper and paint the same picture. So imagine this. It's green grass, like this. And then a sprinkler spraying water, and a yellow sun on top with a sunburst. Very complex, I know. And I would paint the same picture. And one time, I decided that I was going to enter that picture in the Eastern Idaho State Fair art contest. And so I kept begging my mom, driving her crazy, and put my picture into the fair, the wrinkled paper and all of that. And at the end of the fair, I got a pink ribbon. Or my mom knew someone on the fair board and talked them into giving me a pink ribbon. Because my art was nothing special, but I didn't know that. The only thing for me that made it special is that I had created it, and I thought it was really something worth celebrating. Oh, that's too fast. As I got older, we moved a couple years later to a new house, and I painted less and less. In fact, when we moved, and when I was 8, I don't remember painting once in that new house. And I painted less and less and less as I got older. And that makes me feel sad as I look back at it. Like, I love to paint. That's just what I did with my time. It was how I expressed myself. And then I stopped painting. So when we started Acton, we knew we were committing to trust the learners, but we wanted to be really specific about, well, in what ways are we trusting them? And the first way that we promise to trust our learners is we trust them to dream big dreams. To take those big dreams and to keep them with them as they turn 8, 9, 10, all the way up. through their high school years. And in high school at Acton, the Next Great Adventure program is how we fulfill that promise of helping them be on an adventure. And we use the hero's journey as a metaphor to help them keep their dreams alive. So I'm not going to go too much into the hero's journey, but if you know about it, it starts in an ordinary, boring world. And this little guy right here, maybe you can't see him, he's just sitting on a bench waiting for life to happen. And it doesn't really happen, and then something happens, and he goes on an adventure. Well, at Acton, the launch padders, when they apply to be in Launchpad, they're committing to a different world. They are promising to no longer stay in an ordinary world, waiting for something to happen. They know about that, and they're not for that anymore. They say, I'm stepping into Launchpad, and I'm committing to the Next Great Adventure program. That means I'm starting out in the special world. I'm not just in the ordinary world, I'm in the special world already. And being in the special world means that you know that you need to acquire special knowledge in order to progress. So they know that. They're not waiting for something to happen. They're committing to an adventure sometimes before they even know where they're going. But they're in for an adventure. So the special knowledge in Next Great Adventure Hero's Journey is the key, is the path to ascending to the higher plane. If you know the hero's journey, that's the final step, and then you start again. So acquiring special knowledge is what our Launchpadders promise to do. They come in saying, I'm going to find my next great adventure, and that special knowledge will help me climb to the higher plane. The next great adventure is their quest for special knowledge. So the thing about this that's very challenging is it's like they're given a map that doesn't have an exact starting space or ending space. They're kind of given some steps to take, but they don't actually know where they're going, and they decide to go anyway. So we're going to change this from being a hero's journey to something that indicates they are actually going in totally blind. They might have some ideas of where they're going, but they don't really know, and there's really no one to show them the exact path. It's up to them. So instead of a hero's journey, it's more like a pirate's journey, because they're blind. One eye. Okay, I really thought that'd be funnier, so thank you. Actually, I thought maybe I'd give them 2 patches. All right, so they're on a pirate's journey. They don't know where they're going, but they know they're special. They know they're headed into a world, and they are going to find the treasure, even though they don't know what it is or where it's at. So on the Next Great Adventure Pirate's journey, they start out blind, and they know they need to find a mentor. But remember, they don't exactly know what they need, so they just start talking to people. Our Launchpadders conduct interviews all year long, trying to find the mentors that will help them find their next great adventure. So they just start talking to random people. And as they do that, they gain more and more knowledge and a little bit of direction, like our compass. They gain direction, but not specific directions because it's their journey. Eventually, they set sail. They're going somewhere. They set out to go somewhere. And then here's where the pirate's journey flips. They start in the special world and flip to the ordinary world. The ordinary world is fraught with entitlement, resistance, mediocrity, distraction, and victimhood. Those are the monsters that they face. They aren't monsters outside of themselves, they're the monsters within themselves. And there are not clear directions of how to overcome it. But these Launchpadders, on their next great adventure, they get into the fog, they can't see, they push through, and they realize that they are the captain. They put on the captain's hat, grab hold of the steering wheel. Is that what a pirate's ship steering wheel is called? Steering wheel? It probably has a special name, calling it a steering wheel. They grab the steering wheel. They are the master of the ship. No one else can tell them where to find their next great adventure. They keep doing interviews, they keep doing the challenges, and if they have to start over at a new island because they found out they were at the wrong island, they do. They start all over and go again. Eventually, the sun comes up, and they find their special knowledge. The special knowledge of the next great adventure is that the power is inside of them, always was inside of them, and that no matter what challenge or monster they face, that is where the answer lies. And they will find mentors. They know how. They practice it. They will do interviews. That's what they've been doing. But the answer always is within them, and it's up to them to overcome any obstacle in their way. So now, think back to you, your 6-year-old self. What were you doing? What did you love to do? The message of the next great adventure is not just for our heroes and those that are heading out at the beginning of their journey. It's really for all of us. That inside of us is burning a great call to adventure, and we don't have to wait in an ordinary world to answer that call. So think about your divine calling, the things that spark joy, both as a little child and now, and follow the example of our launchpadders to step out on your own next great adventure. Thank you for coming. Enjoy the launchpadders.
Thank you. Oop, too far. Imagine this. You walk into the first day of school and are immediately given a challenge. No instructions, no icebreakers, nothing. You're placed into a group of 6 and handed a box filled with tubes, sensors, and screws. The instructions are vague at best, and the guidance is barely there. And your task? In just 4 weeks, transform that box of parts into a fully autonomous drone. One capable of navigating to set coordinates, completing assigned tasks, determining its altitude, and identifying obstacles in its path. And at the end of the 4 weeks, each team will compete head-to-head to figure out what drone is the best. This was my last summer at MIT. I'm Isaac Richmond. Last year, I stood on this stage sharing how I aimed to innovate in robotics, rockets, and energy to transform the world. But I was missing something. I shared my dreams of a better world, but dreams without action are just that, dreams. So when I asked for support to attend an MIT summer engineering program, I was denied, with the response being that I hadn't done enough to show that I was really committed to engineering. At first, my ego was bruised, and I made excuses. But then I asked myself, would I have given myself the money? If I were in their shoes, would I have funded myself? And the answer was no. Although it wasn't something that I wanted to admit to myself, they were right. I hadn't done enough to show that I was committed to my NGA, and now I had 2 options. I could either stay in this victim mindset, which would get me nowhere, or I could take action and solve my problem. I decided to take action. Note that the board hadn't just said no. They had given me a list of challenges that would show that I was committed, and that engineering really was something that I was prepared to dedicate my life to. I became obsessed with this list of challenges. A couple weeks later, I received an acceptance letter to MIT's summer engineering program. And with support from my family, I packed my bags for Boston. The first day, we were instructed to break into teams of 6, with each team receiving a box of parts, including some carbon fiber tubes, some sensors, and some screws. The expectation was that we would teach ourselves, delegate tasks, and effectively collaborate so that in 4 weeks, we'd be ready to face off against the other teams. For everyone else, this was uncharted territory. But for me, it was just another day at Acton. After choosing a team balanced in programming and hardware, with a shared goal of winning the competition, we wasted no time and got straight to work. We started by breaking down what we needed to accomplish, then assigning tasks and responsibilities based on each person's unique skill set. Exactly what I had done at Acton a dozen times before. Instead of working out buoyancy calculations for my cardboard boat, I was doing lift versus weight calculations with our drone. Instead of wiring houses and buildings for an electrical grid, I was building secure wire harnesses designed to power and control the various sensors and computers on our drone. And instead of 3D printing parts for Rocket's Quest, I was designing and 3D printing parts to survive way too many collisions with the ground. At the same time, I was also working through the list. By day, I was doing CAD, writing code, and troubleshooting errors with my team. And by night, I was reading books, conducting SNS interviews, and working on courses. By the end of the summer, I had not only expanded my knowledge of engineering and drones, but I also connected with some incredible people and solidified engineering as my NGA and career path. Since then, my journey has continued. In the last 9 months, I've spent almost 200 hours in CAD. And on April 22nd, I'll take my Certified SolidWorks Professional exam, a credential that opens doors into engineering jobs. Last month, my rocket Mercury reached 2,200 feet, earning me my L1 rocket certification, teaching me about rocketry and allowing me to really narrow down my career paths. And right now, I have 5 potential engineering job opportunities and have already passed the first round of interviews in 3 of them. Acton taught me the courage of discovery, how to take learning into my own hands, and how to chart my own path forward. It's also taught me how to work in teams, how to collaborate with people that I wouldn't usually work with, and how to break down tasks so that everyone is driving change. My goal is to follow in the footsteps of great innovators. And if you look at the innovators who really made a difference, they didn't do it alone. Steve Jobs was the visionary businessman and marketer behind Apple. But without the technological mind of Steve Wozniak or the creative mind of Johnny Ive, Apple never could have been what it is today. Whether it's neuroengineering, quantum computing, or biomedical technology, innovation happens at the crossroads of disciplines. And there's the problem. Imagine being in a room of 5 strangers, with each speaking a different language: Mandarin, Russian, Arabic, Spanish, and none of you can understand each other. You're limited in what you can achieve. But introduce a translator, and suddenly ideas flow. I want to be the translator. Just as a translator unlocks communications, I want to be the one that bridges gaps and brings people together, brings the skills and knowledge of different disciplines to make big ideas happen. To become a translator in the areas that I want to pursue, I understand that my next step is expanding my knowledge of engineering and economics. But right now, I've hit a roadblock. I can see the problems, but I don't yet have the skills to create solutions. The key issue is that there's a knowledge gap that I need to close before I can take action. Seeing problems is easy. Solving them is the challenge. Take the Texas-sized patch of plastic in the ocean. Engineering could remove it, but without the economic incentives, the solution won't scale. That's why I'm focused on both: engineering for solutions, economics for action. Because of this gap in my knowledge, I don't yet have the skills to build the teams or serve as the translator between these disciplines. The quickest and most effective way to bridge this gap is to go to college. College would not only allow me to get the credentials that I need, but also serve as the foundation from which I could teach myself everything else that I would need to learn. I've already started this process by taking college credits while in high school, and I plan to test out of any additional college classes to make the most of my time in college. This will allow me to purely focus on what I need to study instead of wasting time on useless classes. I'm here today seeking $80,000 for my tuition at Texas A&M. This funding would not only allow me to get my degree in mechanical engineering, giving me a sturdy foundation in every area of math, physics, and engineering I will need in order to work towards solving real-world problems, but also allow me to pursue a second degree in economics with a focus on applied microeconomics. This will allow me to have the ability to understand supply and demand, international markets, and economic incentives, enabling me to bridge the gap between technical innovation and real-world application. This diverse and unique skill set will allow me to tackle problems beyond these fields, providing a strong foundation for self-teaching and any additional knowledge that I may need. At A&M, I'll have the opportunity to participate in programs such as Engineers Without Borders, where I'll be able to actively apply my skills to solving problems in developing countries. I will also have the opportunity to collaborate with professors on economic research projects that address real-world issues. By following this custom degree, as well as testing out of unnecessary college classes, I will be able to quickly gain the skills necessary to become the engineer that I want to be. Not just a mechanical engineer, but one who can bridge skill sets, translate knowledge, and drive innovation forward. For the last 3 years, Acton has been like a muscle that I've slowly strengthened, pushing my limits, building resilience, and developing a mindset of curiosity and action. But like any muscle, if I stop using it, it will weaken. As I enter college, I intend to continue what I have learned at Acton, and I'm going to do that by making 3 promises. First, for every year that I am in college, I will conduct 12 SNS interviews. Last year, one of my challenges was to conduct 12 SNS interviews. I took on that challenge head on, talking to everyone from college professors to refugees. It's something that I've come to love, and it's allowed me to gain insights and knowledge that only years of experience can. If you're an engineer, business owner, or have an understanding of economics, I would love the opportunity to interview you. Second, I will get an apprenticeship every single year that I'm in college. Experience is everything, and by having as many years as possible under my belt as I exit college, I won't be stuck in a rut where I lack experience. And third, I will support future scholars who want to pursue engineering. As the first engineer to come out of Acton Magnolia, I understand how difficult the process was. Even though I had my plan laid out long before high school, I still ran into many roadblocks that, looking back, could have been easily avoided. By being a mentor and helping revise the physics and engineering curriculum, I intend to help pave the path of engineering through Acton. One of my greatest fears is working for years only to realize that it didn't matter. Last year taught me that technical skills alone create engineers who can solve textbook problems. Only by combining relationships, real-world experience, and technical skills can I become an engineer who solves real-world problems. With your help, I can become the translator, the engineer who bridges the gaps between industries, creating engineers that meet big problems with bigger solutions. Thank you.
Once, there was a young man who was sick. But he wasn't just the regular kind of sick, the kind where you eat chicken soup and rest in bed for a week. He was the kind of sick where you start becoming grateful for every single day, because there's a high likelihood it could be your last day with that person. This young man was my older brother 11 months ago, and I could not believe what was happening. For the last 3 weeks, we had been hoping and praying that he would get better, but on the night of April 8th, 2024, my family was forced to face the gravity of the situation. This was undoubtedly the scariest night of my life. As my dad took him to the ER, I couldn't shake the overwhelming wave of helplessness that washed over me. I was frozen with fear and worry, like the ground was giving out beneath my entire world. My best friend, my first bully and first protector, the boy that I had grown up with my entire life, was dying. But the worst part is there was nothing I could do about it. It was at that moment something deep in my soul was awakened. I knew that I was never going to be a helpless bystander again. I felt drawn to the art of healing since a young age. Whether it was taking care of my sick family members or creating a whole new system for how we manage first aid at my school, I find fulfillment and joy in turning around bad situations and bringing peace and comfort to those who are hurting. For years, I've worked to care for those around me, but I felt like something was still missing. I longed to know how I was going to make a difference in the world on a larger scale. How was I going to take my passion and talents and create something bigger than myself, a legacy? I knew I needed to be intentional about my growth if I wanted to turn my passion into something bigger. This year, I've done this by focusing on developing my leadership skills, earning key credentials, gaining hands-on experience through apprenticeships, and building a strong network of medical professionals. One of the most impactful leadership experiences has been guiding in Discovery, our youngest studio. Balancing leadership with stepping back, I've spent over 300 hours learning how to empower even the youngest heroes. Though demanding, this has been one of the most important roles in accelerating my personal and professional growth. I've also invested over 150 hours in medical studies, earning key credentials in advanced first aid, CPR, anatomy and physiology, and paramedicine. These have strengthened my technical skills and confidence in the field. Through hands-on apprenticeships, I spent nearly 250 hours learning from skilled providers at 2 local clinics. Observing high-performing medical teams has shown me the importance of strong leadership, clear communication, and well-structured systems in improving both efficiency and patient outcomes. Under their guidance, I have gained proficiency in various skills, such as assessing vitals after check-in, preparing injections, vaccines, and IVs, as well as helping with outpatient procedures like wound care, minor surgical operations, and preparing and processing blood and other specimens for lab testing. I've also gained insight into suturing and wound closure, and I've only passed out twice during the more intense procedures. To further shape my next steps, I've built connections with dozens of medical professionals, learning from their experiences and advice. I've conducted 10 interviews so far with specialists across the field, gaining insight into not just the education and skills required, but also the role of leadership, culture, and teamwork in their careers. I plan to continue this process with at least 5 more interviews this year. Now, I'd like to highlight 2 powerful mentors who have helped shape my next great adventure. Nurse Lori Wisdom, my apprenticeship mentor, and Dr. Nicole Davis, the ER physician who treated my brother that dark, scary night. Through our conversations, my eyes have been opened to the unique challenges that healthcare professionals are facing right now. The pressure continues to mount as the demand for care increases and resources are beginning to be stretched thin. There's a critical shortage of professionals, high burnout rates, and increasing levels of stress for those on the front lines. These challenges are compounded by long shifts, unpredictable cases, and a rapidly changing medical landscape. Many of the professionals I've talked to share that they feel frustrated, burnt out, discouraged, and overwhelmed at the current state of healthcare in America. But what if the future of healthcare didn't have to look like this? What if we could change the course of burnout, discouragement, and stress through better leadership, communication, resilience, and teamwork? What if we could create a culture in medicine that emphasizes collaboration, fosters continuous learning, and supports healthcare workers as they face these challenges? As I step into the world of medicine, I know I'll face many of the same obstacles, but I see this as more than just a problem. It's an opportunity to make a real difference. I believe that a key part of tackling it is strengthening leadership and teamwork in medical environments. By applying the leadership principles I've been learning, I can help build strong teams, improve communication, foster resilience, and create a culture where people feel empowered and supported. I'm ready to rise to the occasion and be part of this solution. But for this vision to become a reality, I need to equip myself with the right skills and experiences. I need to build on my foundation in medical knowledge, emergency response, and leadership. This requires a combination of college education, advanced hands-on training, and even more leadership experience. Additionally, I need to prepare myself to stay resilient and focused under stress, while also learning how to lead teams that deliver high-quality patient care in a crisis. To become the leader I aspire to be, I'm focusing on 4 areas: education, leadership, service, and medical training. This May, I'll begin earning my associate's degree in applied health to strengthen my medical foundation and prepare for future challenges. I'll also continue guiding as a full-time discovery guide next year, gaining critical leadership and team-building experience that will serve me well in my career. I'm preparing to serve an 18-month full-time mission, dedicating myself to teaching and supporting people from all walks of life and deepening my ability to connect with others. And to gain advanced hands-on experience, I plan to earn an advanced medical certification and participate in the National Outdoor Leadership School's Wilderness Medicine and Rescue Semester in the spring of 2027. I'm taking steps on my own to independently fund my mission in college, but another critical step in my journey, one that will propel me forward greatly, is this advanced medical training. The Wilderness Medicine and Rescue Semester is a 75-day intensive program that will challenge me physically, mentally, and emotionally. This is far beyond a standard EMT course. It's a real-world trial by fire that will teach me to think critically under pressure, adapt to unpredictable challenges, and lead out in high-stakes situations. The skills and experience I'll gain are crucial for a future in emergency medicine, and the opportunity to receive this training at such an early stage will not only advance me on my personal next great adventure, but lay the groundwork for my mission to inspire a culture of resilience and stronger leadership in emergency medicine. At Acton, I've learned that true growth comes from seeking out challenges that push me outside of my comfort zone. Jocko Willink, a retired Navy SEAL and leadership consultant, advises to make your training as difficult and uncomfortable as possible, so that you will not only be prepared, but you will be certain. This is exactly what this course will help me do. It will instill in me the skills, resilience, and confidence to lead that will enable me to accomplish my mission. The lessons I learned will stay with me because I will have earned them through immersive experiences that challenge me to step beyond my comfort zone and unlock my full potential. So to the NGA board, I'm asking for funding to cover the tuition and part of the equipment costs for the Wilderness Medicine and Rescue semester, a total of $26,500, which I will complete in spring of 2027. This program is a vital part of my next grade adventure, and it's where I need the most support, as all my funds are currently dedicated to college and my mission. With your help, I'll gain not just a credential, but the training to become a leader in emergency medicine, capable of guiding teams, making critical decisions under pressure, and setting a new standard for excellence. This isn't just an investment in my education, it's an investment in the future of medical leadership, preparing me to shape a stronger, more resilient field of emergency medicine. And to the audience, I know that growth doesn't happen in isolation. To become the best, I need to learn from the best. I'm seeking out opportunities to connect with healthcare professionals who excel in their field, doctors, nurses, emergency responders, and specialists. I want to learn from their experiences and the wisdom that they've gained throughout their careers. If you are one of these professionals, or if you know someone who is, please help me expand my network. Every conversation, every insight, and every connection I make will shape me into the leader I aim to be. Your support in introducing me to these mentors will help me continue learning and preparing to make a lasting impact in emergency medicine. In return, I promise to make the most of every connection, experience, and lesson that I gain. I will actively seek out the best mentors and professionals and be sure to honor the time and knowledge that they are sharing with me. I promise to follow through on my commitments, including guiding college, my mission, and the Wilderness Medicine and Rescue semester. I will maximize my growth by fully embracing every opportunity I create and am given. My goal is not just to fulfill these obligations, but to become the best version of myself through them. And in closing, I would like to share a lesson from one of my mentors, Dr. Nicole. She advised me to anchor my identity in who I am, not just what I do. From that counsel, I refined my personal mission, values, and purpose. My mission is to bring healing and comfort to the world and through faithful service in every facet of my life. So that is my final promise, to not let the things I do become more important than who I am becoming. A year ago, I stood helpless as I watched my brother's life slowly slip away, unable to do anything but pray that someone could save him. I will never feel that way again. I have fought to grow, to lead, and to prepare myself for the moments when someone else feels that same fear and desperation. Just like the doctors and nurses who stepped in when my family needed them most, I will step in for the weak, the scared, and the helpless. This is my next great adventure, and I am ready. Thank you.
Once upon a time, there was a kid who really wanted a Star Wars Lego set. For weeks, it was his new obsession and the topic of every conversation he had. This kid was me, and I was obsessed with the Lego Star Wars Death Star. It was the biggest and most desirable thing in the Lego magazine at the time. For all the parents here, you understand how obsessed a kid can get at something like this. Every day, I would look at that magazine and long for the joy of finally being able to put every last piece together. But I didn't have enough money, and my parents were strongly against supporting my crippling addiction. Day after day, I was reminded of the gaping Death Star-shaped hole in my soul. Until one day, I realized that the only way to achieve my dream was to be proactive and do something about it. I decided that I was going to make some money. But how? At the young age of 7 years old, all I knew was that I could get money from chores and adults. But I didn't want to slave away at chores to earn enough money. Neither would anyone financially responsible give me the money I so desperately needed to just go and buy a Lego set. As I was going through my normal day, doing what normal, hyper, and easily distracted 7-year-olds do, my eyes met a stack of printer paper. But I wasn't looking at a stack of printer paper. In the same way that a kid looks at a box and imagines a castle or a rocket ship, I envisioned an untapped profit. I went and grabbed the entire stack of printer paper, though I knew I had gotten in trouble for doing so with my parents previously. Then, grabbing scissors, I sat down at our kitchen table and after intense brainstorming and failed attempts, I constructed 3 paper creations: a bag, a wallet, and another sort of container. I mean, in my mind, they looked cool and had a functional use. Who wouldn't want to buy them? Even Gucci and Louis Vuitton would have been jealous. I gathered my creations, took the time to make a little stand, and then sat in the middle of my driveway in the hot summer. I was going to sell these paper creations to people with money. Many cars and potential customers went by without success. Some people stopped to look while others questioned me about my stand, but all of them quickly continued to walk away. For some reason beyond my understanding, no one wanted my paper creations. Right before I was about to give up, or in other words, at the end of my young self's attention span, a truck rolled its window down and slowed down at my driveway. I waved, and the man driving stopped, and he asked what I was selling. I explained excitedly what my paper creations were. Then he took a moment to think and decided to hand me $20 for one of each of my creations. You would have thought my soul had been struck by lightning when I realized what is happening. I thanked him and exchanged my products for profit. And once he left, I ran inside and very happily told my parents about my success. Though I never ended up getting enough money to buy that Lego set, I did get something more that was so much more valuable from that experience. I had accomplished something. A completely new way of thinking had been implanted in my brain, a new way to look at the world that I had never quite taken the time to see before. I had made money from nothing just because I set a goal and went to accomplish it. This pure passion for accomplishment and solving problems sits with me to this day. The maturity of my love for solving problems caused me to pick up programming later in my life at 13. My dad introduced me to a JavaScript course, and I fell in love with it. The process of programming fit my mind very well. It was really just deciding on a final outcome and then figuring out how to build something to get you there. I continued to pour all of my free time into programming and random projects for the next few years, including websites. One of those small projects was a full-stack website application that would have given a full development team some difficulty. Nevertheless, 500 hours later, over the span of 2 years, and I had taught myself how to make full-stack web applications from scratch. But then, a familiar feeling hit me. It was the summer of 2024, and the project that I had put over 500 hours into had been rejected at the end of the last school year and remained buried and dead. Fortunately, I had something else to focus on, a new goal to improve our school for the next year by reworking some kinks in the program. Little did I know, I was signed up for a summer of personal reflection. I was filled with the longing for something more. Yes, programming was important to me, but why? I asked myself why I enjoyed programming, and soon I found the answer, that programming itself wasn't the reason I found enjoyment in it. What made it impactful for me was solving problems and building something from the ground up. Through this realization, I discovered that my real passion is for business. After all, business at its core is just a fancy word for solving problems and getting stuff done. And if I knew anything about myself, it was that I loved getting some stuff done. Now, imagine a world-changing company like Google or SpaceX. What makes these companies special, and what separates them from the average? Maybe it's an impactful culture, an important purpose, or even good leaders in the company. Well, it's all of these things. All these come together in a symphony of passion to spark the employees and leaders at a company. I want to make these types of businesses and work environments from the ground up. Of course, while making a little bit of money along the way. To be able to do this, I need to learn. I need to learn a lot about business. Just think, between sales, marketing, leadership, and mastering your product, there is an endless amount of things to learn when starting and thriving in business. I mean, with so many things to do, how do you even get started learning stuff like this? I had no idea. So of course, I did the rational thing and jumped in head first without a clue. Towards the end of last summer, my ignorant yet ambitious self made the bold decision that I would start my own business in website design at 16. I would take my skills and passion in programming and websites and turn it into a business. Not only would doing this be profitable, but it would also introduce me to the many domains of business. Those domains are mainly sales, marketing, and finance. Let me share a bit of progress I've made since the beginning of the last year. To start, I professionally branded and made a full website for my business, both for credibility and marketing. You can access the website at faciliadesigns.com. I've worked to get over 10 total leads of potential clients for a website, and I've done pre-sales with 4 of those leads. Out of those 4 meetings, 1 became a branding and website client. I've been attending networking events like Inspired Leaders regularly to share my business and dreams, as well as just to get to know local business owners. And I've interviewed 6 successful business owners and entrepreneurs. All of this while while working towards graduating a year early at 16. It is amazing what you can do with a little time and willingness to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. And exciting news, this week, I met with the owner of a marketing firm that specializes in website design. The owner invited me to the office as a paid intern. But I need your help. While I can make considerable progress on my own, help would give me access to opportunities that might have taken me months alone, which is why I need 3 small things to speed up my progress. So, to both the board and the audience, I need clients. If you need a website or know someone who does, I'd appreciate the opportunity to gain your or their trust in business. I need clients to boost not only my general business, but also the rate at which I learn design skills. In fact, I have a limited time offer for newborn businesses. I will make a 5-page informational website and you pay the price you think it's worth. Then the monthly cost of hosting it afterward. This offer is only available for 4 more small businesses, so grab it while you can. I need interviews. If you are a successful business owner who cares about culture and people, or if you know someone who does, I am looking for interviews. If you'd just be available to sit at a coffee shop with me while I ask you a few questions, I would greatly appreciate it. Lastly, if you know someone or are yourself someone who needs part-time door-to-door salesman, I'd love the opportunity to learn while selling your stuff. With your help and opportunities, I can monumentally boost the speed at which I learn these skills. These are the skills I need to create world-changing and life-changing work environments. For any contacts or opportunities I receive, I promise to follow up and use what I have to the best of my abilities, as well as be on time and prepared. I promise to change the world through my interactions with people in the business world by increasing my network to 200 contacts on a spreadsheet, as well as obtain 5 paid clients by this time next year. And I promise to continue to strive towards my goal by putting my all into anything I do. Lastly, I will make one last promise, to keep striving towards dreaming, living, and inspiring others. Thank you for your time.
This is the story of a writer who is afraid to write. For as long as she could remember, stories surrounded her. She still remembered sitting on her bed at 9 years old, staring at the last word on the page of the first book series she ever finished, The Land of Stories. She was in awe at her accomplishment, and yet a part of her was devastated. She had been on an extraordinary journey with these characters turned friend, and now it was just over? There was only one thing to do: write a speech, a memoir, an ode to the land of stories. So she stood in her family room and recited her speech, although a part of her wondered how one person could become so attached to a fictional character. Then she had a thought. Could it happen again? Could she find another story that meant just as much to her? Turns out she could. For the next 2 years, stories shaped her life, but she was never able to put into words why she was so captivated by the written word, until one day. She was sitting in her mother's bed when she came across a video created by a girl named Abby Emmons. Her big eyes and even bigger personality captured the girl's attention, but it was her words that changed everything. Through Abby Emmons' brilliant writing advice, the girl realized that stories weren't just about magical powers and fantastical quests. Stories had the power to inspire others in ways nothing else could. She could relate to the characters on a deep level because they represented her. She was them. They struggled with rejection, trying new things, fear of failure, and every other problem that she and others struggled with. But also, just like them, she had the power to transcend those struggles. When she saw that others were willing to accept their call to adventure and face their fears, even fictional characters, she thought, well, maybe I can too. However, reading stories was easy. Writing her own was not. It didn't take much effort to invest herself into a master storyteller's writing, but to assume that her own writing could ever be that good, it was silly, and much easier to give up on her stories early and never share them with anyone. However, it got complicated when she started Acton, and everyone began asking her what her dreams were. Every time she found herself saying the word author, although it squeezed her heart, her fears struck to kill, whispering, "You'll never actually become an author. You're only kidding yourself." I tell them all I have big dreams, but not as big as my doubts seem to be. And I'll say, my dreams weren't real anyway. Those were the words of a song she wrote at 14 years old, sitting on her bed and plucking out the strings. She called the song, "I Get Scared of Everything." However, she finished it on a different note. I need to stop being the side character in my own story. I need to claim that trophy and climb that mountain and clear my way to victory. Although I'm scared, I'll make my way through. January 1st, 2024, I realized that I was playing the side character in my own story, and something needed to change. My dreams seemed too big, but Earl Nightingale said, never give up on a dream just because of the time it will take to accomplish it. The time will pass anyway. My time was passing. So I made an ambitious goal of improving my consistency by writing for 300 out of 365 days. Even if it was just a paragraph, I would write something. That year and throughout my journey, everything changed. Not only did I achieve my goal, writing an average of 1.12 pages a day, ending in 336 pages and 175,702 words, but I also got accepted into Launchpad, painstakingly learned how to drive, acted and sang for my biggest role on stage yet whilst recovering from a sickness, memorized every single country in the world, attained my first author apprenticeship, moved out of the house I was literally born in, became a dream manager, put on concerts of my own original songs to raise money, spent 2 weeks in an orphanage in Uganda, Africa, and started a podcast with my mother. Each challenge was more terrifying than the last, but I did them anyway. And I found that I was the happiest I had ever been because suddenly I was living a great story. This was when I realized that life-changing adventures don't just exist in fairy tales, but in real life. And even I can make my life story great. But this is not the end of my story. I want to help others come to this realization as well. I've personally known and seen countless people who are stuck sitting in the audience of their own movie, watching the credits roll, not knowing about the heroic potential that lives inside of them. This leads to boredom, anxiety, depression, and stagnancy. Overall, life sucks, but it never has to be that way. My dream is to write meaningful young adult fiction books that inspire my readers to accept their call to adventure, face their fears, and ascend to a higher plane. But in order to do that, I need to accept my call to adventure and conquer my biggest fear yet. During my last apprenticeship, I shared my goal of consistent writing with my author mentor, Casey West, but she only had one question for me. Have you ever written a book? And of course, my answer was no. She replied, you need to write a book. I knew she was right, although I hated to admit it. My inner voice hollered, how will I ever think that I'm good enough to write a book? My ideas aren't worthy, and I'm not ready. However, another voice whispered, do what it takes to make a great story. So I let an irresistible story idea blossom in my mind, and for the next 4 to 5 months, I slowly, non-committally carved it out. However, it wasn't until I started the NGA program that I was forced to set real milestones. By December 1st, 2024, I would have a complete outline, which I had never done before. By February 15th, 2025, I would be done with the first act of my first draft, and by May 23rd, 2025, the end of the school year, I would be done with the first half of my first draft. Suddenly, everything became real. I was writing a book, and I am still writing that book. And my final goal is to complete the first draft by the end of this calendar year. Then, by May of 2027, the end of my official senior year, I want to have published a book. In order to make that happen, I will be focusing on editing and publishing. But this year, my priority is honing my craft and writing my first book. The mere thought of writing something serious and sharing it is terrifying. But I will do it anyway, because that's what it takes to make a great story. However, I cannot achieve this incredible challenge all by myself. 1, I am not yet a master of my craft, and I need to improve my writing skills. 2, I don't know a lot of writers my age, and I know how critical a writing community who could support my love for writing could be. Lastly, 3, I need to meet more young adult authors so that I can interview and build connections, but most importantly, so I can get feedback on my book from masters of my craft. I believe building these connections are how I will break into the writing industry. However, it is hard to get a hold of authors, and I've contacted many in the past who are too busy or simply don't respond. So, in order to satisfy all these vital needs so I can accomplish my goal of writing my first book, I have an ask for the audience and an ask for the board. For those in the audience, I'm asking for the contacts of editors, publishers, and especially authors in my industry so that I can ask for interviews and grow my network. If you are able to help, then you can scan the QR code on the program and access my phone number where you can contact me. To the board, I am asking for you to help me attend a summer writing camp. I've researched many different programs, and the one I decided on is the Young Authors Academy at Brigham Young University, taking into account the price, the varieties offered, and the fulfillment of all 3 of my requirements. 1, improving my writing skills. 2, a young writing community. And 3, networking with authors. It was the best choice. Tuition, food, and housing and transportation all add up to $1,275. I truly believe that this camp will be vital to my author journey. And in return, I have 3 layers of promises. First, at the camp, I promise to network unfailingly. I will personally talk to as many of the teachers and visiting authors as possible, and I will ask for at least 3 SNS interviews. I will also connect with as many peers as I can, building long-lasting connections that will surpass our time at camp. I will also keep a writing journal that will contain detailed notes of all the lessons I learn. Lastly, I will share my first draft with at least 10 people at the camp and ask for feedback. My next layer of promises applies to after I have published my first book. I promise that I will always make time for younger or inexperienced authors and give them access to my network and my wisdom. I personally know how impactful it is to be given help by someone older and wiser, and I want to be that for others. Lastly, I commit to never lose sight of my mission. I sincerely promise that I will share my stories with the world, not just to entertain, but to lift, influence, and inspire, to help everyone see that they are a hero who can decide to live their own great story, just like I have learned and am still learning. Despite having this knowledge, I still fall short, and sometimes I let my fears overtake me. I've recently learned that living a great story isn't just a once in a lifetime revelation, it's an everyday decision. Every day, I have to choose to accept the call. I have to choose to overcome my fears and chase the life I was meant to live. So, in closing, I ask you, what adventure are you refusing right now? Every moment is an adventure, and you are writing your own story. So make it a page turner. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, start finding your seats. Calling everyone back in.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Awesome. Aren't they doing a great job so far? Give them all a round of applause so far. They're doing so amazing. Just wow. And I just want to bring your attention again to the fact that most of them have 2 asks, one for the board. We've got an amazing, awesome NGA board that hosts these talks through all of the Acton network. And they watch the talks and give scholarships. Last year, we had some amazing scholarships given to many of our scholars, and that can happen this time. So don't worry, Isaac is not asking you for $80,000, although, I mean, he would probably take it. But then there also have asks for you guys. So really pay attention to that. I know you've heard them. I've already had some of you talk to me, and get excited to share with them. All right, welcome onto the stage. Oh, that's the wrong way. No. Hannah, come on up.
Once upon a time, there was a 7-year-old girl. She lived in Johannesburg, South Africa. She grew up in a Christian household and went to church every Sunday. One Sunday after church, her dad told her that he was going on a mission trip to Overston, which is in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. He would go hand out food and spend time with the people who lived there, sharing the message of Jesus. She decided that she would go with and do anything she could to help. That 7-year-old girl was me. Every day, before leaving on the mission, I could be found crocheting beanies to take to Overston. I couldn't wait to go and spend time with the people who lived there. Most of the children only got one meal a day from the small school that they all went to. My dad even told me that the adults would have lots of children and then only care for them until the age of 6, meaning 6-year-olds would be left to care for themselves. The children would have to go to school every day with an empty stomach. They had no clean water and very few necessities. Things like body lotion and toothpaste were mere dreams for most of these kids. Warm clothing was out of the question, and so I was determined to make a difference, even if I was only a child. Finally, we arrived in Overston. It was unlike anything I had ever seen before. The kids were dressed in dirty school uniforms, and their legs were scaled with dry skin. Their shoes were often too small and covered in dust. They would greet us with cheers, jumping up and down around us in excitement. There was a small field next to the school, which was covered in trash, and some of the older kids would go and play soccer on the field, inevitably cutting their feet on the broken glass. I was hit with a wave of emotions. Gratitude for the things that I had, and sadness that they had to live there like that. A few days after being there, my pastor found a lady with a baby that was only a few months old. The mother already had 3 children, and she looked worn out and exhausted. I gave her the hat I had made, and that small gesture brought tears to her eyes. She put it on her baby's head and handed me the child. This moment filled me with an incredible sense of joy. I had made a difference with a beanie. From then on, I knew that this was what I was supposed to do. I wanted to travel the world and change people's lives, but they had no idea how much they would change mine. Think about something that brings you so much joy, you feel like you're flying. That is how I feel whenever I serve other people. Every time I went back to Overston, I would sit on the hard concrete with a kid on my lap and feel so grateful for what I had. I would always see the older teenagers in my church leading Bible studies and dancing on stage. I wanted to be exactly like them. So cool. Then, when I went into 6th grade, I got the opportunity to become a leader myself. And since then, I have been serving on Sundays and church camps. In 9th grade, my family and I moved to America, where I am now an intern at my church. I am serving and learning through apprenticeships and Wednesday nights, where I lead a Bible study. I have also traveled a lot with my family, and every time I go somewhere new, I feel even more inspired to achieve my dream. Not only was I inspired by the people and other things and missions that I went on, but I was also inspired by my pastor, Pastor Shaw. He was and always has been one of the most inspirational people in my life. He has been on countless missions, reaching out to those who have been neglected. His impact on people is unlike anyone I have ever seen before, and he is a God-loving man. He was with me on my first mission trip to Overston and has watched me grow up in the church. He was an awesome youth pastor and has been through thick and thin to be where he is today. He taught me that there are so many people living a life of darkness. Their days are filled with poverty and injustice, but most importantly, they have never felt the love of Jesus. I want to change that. Imagine that years from now, I have been a part of several mission groups who bring peace and light all over the world. I would have traveled to countries like Africa, Europe, South America, Asia, and even Australia. I want to meet inspiring people who change my perspective on the world, people whom I will remember forever, and who will feel my passion when I'm with them. I want to have repainted houses, fixed things around the town, taught children how to read and write, stood up in front of crowds to share the gospel, and led worship sessions. To get there, however, I need to start right now. I've been given the opportunity to travel to Europe. I will spend 3 weeks living the life of a missionary. The first week will be a training week. Shine 2025 is a camp where teenagers with the dream of becoming missionaries can learn to serve. I will connect with other mission groups while doing extensive training. In the second week, I will travel from England to Spain, Greece, or Poland, where I will do hands-on work, repainting houses, fixing things around the town, and meeting so many people from different walks of life. Now, I have big dreams, and I need your help to achieve them. I have 2 asks, one for the board and one for the audience. I'm asking the board for $4,000 for the Shine training camp, plane fare, lodging, and food. Now, I know it seems like a lot when I'm only going for 3 weeks, but this is my opportunity to start working on my dreams. I have already saved over $1,000 through babysitting jobs. However, I would like to keep making and saving money for future trips. So, I'm asking you in the audience, if you are somebody who is sitting here alone or here without your spouse because you couldn't find a fun, responsible babysitter, let me tell you, honey, that's my specialty. I love babysitting and currently babysit for 3 families. Moving forward, however, I would love to babysit for even more families so that I can make more money for future trips. That's my number, and if you're interested in a second opinion, that is the number of Heather, one of the mothers I currently babysit for. I can get it done because I'm currently doing an internship at my church, which happens to also be my apprenticeship. I've gained over 50 hours leading Bible studies and sharing my testimony. I served in my church in South Africa for almost 200 hours. Every other week I babysit. Half of what I make gets put into my savings. Acton has also given me experience in public speaking and communication. It has helped me realize my dream of serving, and it has helped me realize my dream of interacting with different people. In return, I promised to use this trip and any others I go on to look into my future and think about ways that I can grow my love of serving even more. I promise to ask questions, take notes, and fully deep dive into learning more about becoming a missionary. I want to know that I've used every single opportunity that I have to grow even more. Finally, I promise to stay committed to my dream. I will not stop until I have shown love to as many people on as many continents as possible. I will be the light that the world so desperately needs. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope that one day you can read about a girl who went around the whole world changing people's lives, and you'll be able to say, I watched her give her first talk on how she will achieve her dreams. Thank you.
The lights are off, the crowd goes quiet. Sorry. The lights are off, the crowd goes quiet. The audience buzzes with excitement. And as the music comes on, the crowd goes quiet, an excited buzz runs around the room, and the lights fade up. Why do lights in a live production matter? You might be thinking, duh, so you can see the stage. And yes, you're right. But what about blackouts, or an intimate moment between 2 lovebirds? Lighting is more than visibility. It's storytelling. If you've ever seen a live theater production, you might not have even noticed the lights. But a single lighting cue can shift the tone of an entire scene. Now, imagine you're 13 and grew up in theater. Your family's been involved for as long as you can remember. You love to be on stage. For a few years now, you've been your grandmother's assistant as she directs her annual summer musical, running errands and sharing late night dinners, but you hadn't had the opportunity to be in one of her productions for some time now. Then one year, she asks if you would want to try to learn how to use the spotlight for her latest production. And of course, because she's your mentor, you say yes, unaware that this would spark an entirely new passion, lights. You might be thinking, well, that was oddly specific. And again, you'd be right. This was me, Breezy Bowen, in the summer of 2021. I watched each year as my grandmother scrambled to put her show together. She programmed lights, designed the sets and costumes, directed, and more, all while putting time aside for her family. I want to be just like her. And although I don't know if I've told her directly or not, she has truly been my role model and mentor. The following year, in summer 2022, she trusted me with a much larger job, the light board, which is a complicated and technical job that can change the entire mood of a production. I learned that lighting isn't just functional, it's emotional. It shapes the audience's experience in ways they might not even realize. Now, close your eyes. No, seriously, close them. Think about a live production you've seen. Visualize all the details, the costumes, hair, makeup, lights, sound, special effects, sets, props, etc. Now take all of those details away. What are you left with? Nothing. You can open your eyes now, by the way. Every piece of live theater is so crucial that without it, it wouldn't be possible. When a cast thanks the technicians saying, "Without you, this wouldn't be possible," trust me, they're serious. And this is what I want people to understand. Every piece of theater and film is vital to make the best production possible. And while I could go into each detail I mentioned earlier, along with so many pieces that the audience doesn't even get to see, I won't, because my true passion is the lights. As Jennifer Tipton said, good lighting makes the audience feel the story, not just watch it. The lights bring everything together. It adds so much emotion to a scene that most people don't even realize. An intimate moment between two people, a flashback, a character feeling angry or sad, a happy and fun scene, a fight, an imagination sequence, and so much more. The way the light hits someone's face can change everything. For me, lighting became more than just an art. It became a lifeline. As someone who struggled with mental health, theater is my escape. It's always been consistent and has been a very good distraction from my struggles. I never want to leave, and I'm always looking for a reason to be there. Being part of a show gave me purpose, belonging, and a reason to push forward. That feeling, that connection, is why I want to pursue a career in lighting design. When my grandmother asked me to run the spotlight that summer, I was going through one of the hardest times of my life. I was surrounded by people that I loved, and I was having tons of fun. But for some reason, when I would lie down to sleep at night, I would lay awake for hours, unable to sleep. I went into deep, depressive episodes, often telling myself that I have it so good and that it's not fair for me to be having a hard time because so many people have it worse. And by morning, I had only gotten a few hours of sleep, if any at all. Now, with that, I will never forget the feeling I had when the cast gestured toward the tech booth on opening night of the show. I had this feeling in my gut. It felt empty, but full at the same time. When we met as a cast on closing night, I remember how sad I was, but I still felt good. It was all very confusing, but I knew that I had done something that made a difference for many people. Even if I didn't get to see the impact directly, I knew that it did. And that's what made me want to do it over and over again. Not many people understand all of the work that goes into making a show come to life. It takes countless hours of everything to come together for a live production, and generally, technicians simply get a gesture at the end of each show and their name in a program that most people don't even look at. And this has to change. Now, I don't know how to do that, but what I do know is that I need to keep making a difference and move forward with my career in lighting. And that's where you come in. I want to become a certified lighting designer, which takes at least 3 years of being a lead lighting designer. And this takes a lot more work than you would think. There are 8 main steps to becoming a lead lighting designer. Learning the basics of lighting design, gaining hands-on experience, assisting established lighting designers, building a portfolio, developing artistic and technical skills, networking in the industry, start designing my own shows, and establish myself as a lead designer. All of these things are essential for making the productions I am part of just a little more meaningful for someone. While I have gained so much experience already, having worked with multiple lighting programs, mainly consisting of EOS and Magic Q, programming and running the lights for community productions, and learning what movers, LED park hand lights, cyc, spotlights, and so much more are, and what they do, I still have far to go. Recently, I interviewed a professional technician named Eric Teisinger. who explained to me how crucial networking is. So, my next step is to continue to gain experience and network with professionals in my industry. These steps require training and equipment, and I'm asking for your support to make that happen. This is what I am seeking from the NGA board. The total cost is $2,336, which includes $1,550 for a 2-week technical theater camp at A&M Corpus Christi. At this intensive camp, I will take specialized theater classes, technical theater classes, gain hands-on experience, and learn more about not only lighting, but also sound, stage management, set design, and so much more. Ending the 2 weeks with a fully produced live production, allowing me to apply my newly honed skills in a real-world setting. $450 goes to a specialized electronic theater controls or ETC lighting camp, a highly specialized camp that focuses on mastering industry standard ETC lighting systems used in theaters everywhere. I will receive hands-on training from experts, surrounded by people who are looking to further their education in lighting, just like me. And lastly, $336 goes to 46 online ETC courses, ending with an EOS certification. These courses take more than 100 hours to complete and will provide in-depth knowledge of the EOS system, one of the most widely used control platforms in the industry. This certification not only expands my technical expertise, but it will also strengthen my resume, making me a more competitive candidate for future internships and job opportunities. Receiving funding for these is an incredible opportunity to grow my network, get a realistic look into what running a summer camp looks like, and allow me to work on multiple of the 8 steps, including developing artistic and technical skills, gaining hands-on experience, and arguably the most important, networking in the industry. What makes me think I can do this? Well, if you ask the people who know me, they know that I will not stop doing what I love, and if I commit to it, I can and will get it done, even if it's challenging. For example, when I was 14, I decided that I wanted to be part of 30 stage productions by the age of 16, which would mean I would have to more than double my previous involvements per semester. It was hard, but I pushed myself, and I achieved my goal. In return for your support, I promise to work relentlessly on becoming a certified lighting designer. I promise to network with industry professionals and seek out every opportunity to grow. I promise that I will use my skills to add emotion and enhance productions and find ways to bring well-deserved recognition to lighting designers around the world. And finally, I promise that I will do everything in my power to create opportunities for young people to explore the art of lighting. My first step is contacting my community theater and discussing an opening a lighting class for this summer or the next that I will not only plan, but execute and teach, so that children who see an interest in lighting, just like I did so long ago, have the opportunity to try it out. And my request for all of you, the audience, is to notice. Notice every piece of a production, the lights, the sound, hair and costumes, the work of every technician, and thank them. Their work makes a difference, even if you don't always see it. And to any technicians listening, thank you. What you do is important, and I see it. And I hope that after my talk, all of these people see it too. And I want to close with this quote. Lighting is an invisible art. It should be felt more than seen. Thank you.
Paint a picture in your mind. A family of 6 in a beautiful evening in the summer, 2024 in Florida. Now put some faces to this family. Use my family. We had been to Florida many times, and we always talked about spending more time near the ocean. But when we visited this year, something was different. An idea was born. While waiting for a table at a dockside restaurant, we saw a family pull up on a sailboat, dock at the beach, eat, and leave. That got us thinking, what if we lived on a sailboat? Then that's when the research started. After a long day at the beach, my dad put on a movie. My siblings and I groaned, assuming it would be another documentary about rocks, tectonic plates, volcanic activity under or above the ocean, or something about space. But this time, it was about sailing. The movie was True Spirit, an Australian film from about 2 years ago about a girl named Jessica Watson who circumnavigated the world in 210 days at the young age of 16. Her trip was inspiring because she pursued something that many thought was impossible. Hi, I'm Darcy Darenthal, and my family is currently working on changing residency from the Woodlands, Texas to the ocean. Now, you may remember me from last year, the film actress. Well, since then, things have changed. It all happened in the summer of 2024, last year. Everything happened so fast. We listed our house mid-August, sold at the end of September, bought a smaller house, and moved in by October, and that's when we started looking for boats and taking sailing lessons. By December 16th, we closed on our very own catamaran, a Fontaine Peugeot Helia 44 located in Fort Lauderdale. My dad planned the trip to sell it back. The official crew, my dad, Grandpa, Captain Andres, and me. The trip was going to take about 5 to 9 days from its original slip in Fort Lauderdale to our slip in Kemah, Galveston Bay. My dad and I flew out to Florida on Monday, January 6th. That day, we met up with our captain and stocked up on food, water, and supplies. My grandpa flew in that night, and we slept on the boat. The next day, we left around noon and finally hit the ocean an hour later. We sailed for a day, then the weather turned bad, and so we anchored in Key West for 2 nights. Then, on January 10th, the seasickness hit. I thought I was going to die. We were going against the waves, making it even worse. But 2 days later, something happened that made the misery worth it. Dolphins. So many dolphins. They were jumping alongside our boat, following us for at least 30 minutes. We stopped at Destin on January 14th to wait out more bad weather and for fuel, and we saw even more dolphins after leaving the next morning. But then we hit oil rig territory. Sounds fine, right? No, at least at night, some were lit up so much they looked like a city on water. But at least half are poorly lit or pitch black like giant rocks. If you hit one of these, your boat's gone, and so are you. At 1:30 a.m. on January 16th during my shift, everything went downhill. I wrote in my log that night, everything is miserable. It was worse than my first bout of seasickness because I couldn't just sleep it off, and the winds and waves were too much for our autopilot to handle, so my dad and Captain Andres had to go up to the main helm and steer manually. Our boat had spun in 3 full circles, which, as you can imagine, was not good. After fixing the autopilot, we realized something was loose in the steering mechanism. My dad and Andres worked on it in 6 to 8 foot waves using only the full moon and a flashlight for illumination. The next morning, I took my final shift from 5:30 to 8:30 a.m. The sunrise was beautiful, and the sea was calm. Once again, a miracle of nature made the hard worth it. What was supposed to be a 5 to 9 day trip took 12 days. I had just spent roughly 2 weeks of my life sailing 1,100 nautical miles at the speed of 6 knots an hour, which is not fast at all. The trip provided so many learning opportunities, things I never thought I would have to learn, like how to make ramen in 6-foot waves, how to chart a trip, how to sleep when there's the most overbearing, annoying noise of the anchor coming up next to your cabin. I also learned how to work that anchor, and the rules of boat traffic. It was hard, but I still learned it. It's nothing compared to Jessica Watson and her journey, but it was the closing deal for me. I decided that this is what I wanted to do for a very long time. Now, imagine this, a world where people aren't afraid to live life. And I know what you're thinking, but Darcy, I live life every day. I'm living it right now. That's not the life I'm talking about. Now, close your eyes. Think of your day-to-day life. Imagine what it looks like. Go ahead, close your eyes. Okay. You're most likely thinking about school, going to work, extracurricular activities, taking your kids to their activities, making dinner, getting ready for your day, or getting ready for bed. Is that life? I know it seems like a silly question, but raise your hand if you think that's life. Okay, now let me show you my definition of life. Now, if you look up in the Webster Dictionary, this is what you'll see. The condition that distinguishes animals and plants from inorganic matter, blah, blah, blah. But look at the synonyms. Animation, aliveness, animatedness, living. Does this look like what I just described? Sure, life contains going to work and school and all those fun things. And don't get me wrong, I'm not telling you that work and school is bad. Please still go to work and school. This is what my life looks like right now. But I also sprinkle in a bit of this. I believe that life can mean something other than what you all just thought of. What if everyone sprinkles that into their lives? Oh, but Darcy, my paper's due next week. Darcy, Timmy has soccer practice every day. Darcy, Stranger Things Season 5 comes out soon. Darcy, I don't have time to travel. So, a lot of times when I tell people I'm sailing, it sort of goes like this. Yeah, I'm sailing for an entire year. Oh, that's so cool. I could never do that. That makes me want to grab them by the shoulders and say, yes, you can. I mean, you don't have to sell your house and move your entire family onto a boat, but I believe that everyone can unlock a life of adventure. You deserve to experience the things that you see in social media and movies. You go live that. You can live a life of adventure. When my family was looking at sailing, we stumbled upon Everyday Saturday, a YouTube family who showed us that what we were thinking of was actually possible. They sold their home in Idaho, bought a boat in Florida, and have been sailing the Caribbean for the last 3 years. As my family researched this new lifestyle, my dad told me that Everyday Saturday had a daughter who was my age when they first went sailing on their boat. Her name is Jaden Morse. Her social media accounts got me so excited for the next year. It got me saying, I can't wait another 6 months. I want to go now. She showed me how close-knit the sailing community is and how they are with meeting new people. She showed me how to have new adventures and inspire people in the process. We might not have even set off on this journey had it not been for the inspiration from people like Everyday Saturday, Jaden Morse, and so many other boat families who inspired us with their wonderful experiences. Now this begs the question, how can I be more like Jaden? Can I be as inspirational for others as she was for me? Well, for that to happen, I need to document my own experience, fully embrace that adventure, and share it online for the world to see. On my year trip, I hope that when people watch my videos and see my Instagram, they don't say, her life looks amazing, her family's so brave, I could never do that, but instead are inspired to live life to its fullest. Wake up a bit earlier and sit and appreciate the birds chirping in the morning. If you can, take a trip somewhere, whether that be a trip to Italy or just camping on the weekend. I know I can get it done because I want people to live these lives that don't seem repetitive or monotonous, but have a bit of sparkle. I want to inspire people, and I bet you're wondering, how am I going to inspire people when I'm on my boat? What kind of content will I post? Well, I hope to provide positive glimpses into the impact of adventure and new cultural experience on my life and the life of my family. I will talk about the islands I stop at, how boat life is, even how to deal with certain problems so that other people can reference my videos if they decide to do this as well. I'll post regularly on Instagram. I've already shown that I can post regularly, even with semi-reliable internet, while I was on the 2-week delivery voyage. There are some skills that I need to improve to make this year realize its full inspirational potential. I need a consistent posting schedule for my YouTube channel and Instagram account. I recognize that as I improve my regular content creation, I can reach and inspire so many more people than I am currently. Now, something I need from the audience? Followers. I have my own Instagram where I will be posting about my life, and my family also has an Instagram account solely focused on our boat journey. If you could drop a follow to both accounts, scan that QR code, and follow us, it would mean the world. Something that is very important to me as a content creator is having a connection to my followers. During the delivery trip, I got a couple questions replying to my stories or through my DMs asking about my boat journey, and I always made sure to answer with a well-thought-out, timely response. I want to use my platform to inspire and connect with as many people as I can. And now from the board, I'm asking for exactly $832.97 for 1, premium access to better editing features for the video editing software CapCut, 2, a video editing course to learn how to use these better features to their fullest in that same editing software, and 3, an Olympus TG7 camera, which is an extremely reliable underwater camera. In return, I promise to document all my travels, finish my CapCut course by June 8th, post 25 YouTube videos total, which breaks down to 1 every other week, and post on Instagram at least 50 times by August 1st, 2026. But for Instagram, I'll start posting now, before we even set sail, so I can get in the habit of posting. If you follow, you get to see a new post about some updates with the boat. I promise to enjoy and absorb every second of it. And I promise to step out of my own comfort zone as I meet and talk with new people and embrace foreign experiences. And finally, I promise to love and care for my boat. Thank you so very much. Like and subscribe.
Two words, thank you, were spoken by the Launchpadder before me, in this very room at last year's 2024 Launchpad NGA Talks. I took a deep breath and walked onto the stage, unaware of the mental struggles the outcome of this talk would bring. Having worked incredibly hard drafting my talk, I was finally ready. My heart raced in anticipation for my turn to speak the words I had prepared. After giving my talk, I thought it had gone incredibly well, and I got similar feedback from others who had seen my talk. Those who saw it thought for sure my talk would resonate with the donors and they would support me. So I waited 2 long, horrible weeks. My heart would still pound when I thought about it. I could not stand the anticipation. Until finally, I received an email in my inbox. As I opened the email, I received words I never expected. As I read, I saw the word hobby. A hobby? I was outraged by this response. You're telling me I put over 1,000 hours of effort into songwriting and performing, and it means nothing? I was so sure of my NGA that I had released an album, an EP, 3 singles on all of these streaming platforms, and you're telling me it's just a hobby. This did not sit well with me. I then became very sad. I started questioning my reason for loving music and for doing anything at all. I began to think thoughts that I had never thought before. At that moment, I hopelessly concluded that it would probably be best if I quit early before I worked too hard for nothing. I wanted so badly for my music and my skills to be worth anything at all. It just all felt impossible. Well, remember, in all of our favorite stories, the hero believes he has been bested by his opponent, but then something happens, and he emerges from the ashes to fight another day. Just like in the movies, right when things were darkest, I saw the light crest over the hill. An idea came to my mind, a lost ideal, powerful, yet hiding. Creator mindset, the idea that I am in control. I could decide that I'm not going to be in the grasp of victimhood, that I can and will accomplish anything, no matter what anyone or anything says or does. This lit a fire in my soul, and I got right to work. I decided I was going to prove I could make money from music in a way that would develop my skills and talents. I'm Connor McLean. I'm a musician and producer, and I'm here with a fire burning in me to prove it. I began going to a school called the Sarah Kelly Music School in the Woodlands. After a couple of lessons, the owners saw the skills I had developed over years of my own hard work and asked me to intern under them as a paid music producer and teacher. My job would be to record and lightly mix their student songs or covers. Because of this, I was finally able to make money from my skills and passions, in turn making a profit. I worked hard and began to interview the award-winning owners as well as others in their professional music network. Here I began to realize the unspeakable value and power of networking and collaboration. They told me about an incredible opportunity to step even further into the professional world of music. Once a year, the school hosts a trip for its most prestigious students, a week-long trip to Nashville, Tennessee, to spend time with real professionals in a professional studio to record their own songs. So I was so surprised and elated when they told me that they were considering me to be one of the few students to attend. What if I could actually go record with professionals in Nashville, Tennessee? My first thought was how beneficial to my NGA this experience would be. Next, I considered all the connections I could make to help me take the next step toward my goals. At this point, I had already spoken with a manager, a publisher, a social media influencer, a songwriter, and a performer. In every interview, I would ask the same question: how important was networking to your upcoming into the industry? I got the same answer every single time. No matter what part of the industry I was covering, each person said that networking was one of the, if not the most important thing to their success. But this is just the beginning. Networking and becoming a well-connected, well-respected professional is only part of my dream. Let's play a little game. I'm going to give you 3 different facts about something I'm thinking of, and you try and guess it. Okay? Raise your hand if you think you know what it is. All right, number 1. Its influence helped shape the careers of many famous artists, and it later became known for reality-based content. Number 2. It launched in the early 1980s and changed how people experience a popular form of entertainment. Anyone know it yet? Anyone think they know it? Number 3, it started with a groundbreaking broadcast that referenced the space race, setting the tone for its innovative approach. Anyone know it? No? MTV, yes, right, yes. This industry-disrupting phenomenon was MTV. The world of music would never be the same. They had their own standards, their own awards, and they had something that no one else could offer: a new style of entertainment, music videos, something that hadn't really been used before. Speaking of something new, a wise man once said, "Is it easier to fix the US Postal Service or to build FedEx?" Like the Sanders did with the education system, Elon Musk did with rockets, I will once again revolutionize the music industry to become this: good energy, good vibes, fair and clean, a place where artists don't have to write their souls away on a dotted line, a place where not only good entertainment is created, but also where the artists are respected, not as products, but as human beings. Our goal won't only be profit, but mainly the growth of our people, almost like a family. We will be committed to each other's growth and journey, not only as musicians, but again, as human beings. But as I often do, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm not going to get this before creating a foundation, which is why I plan on starting my own recording studio and production studio. I will be partnering with my good friend, JD Bowen, and we will be called Fresh Revolution Studios. We'll be a place where new artists can come to create excellent music and still feel like they can uphold their values. We will bring quality music and a quality work environment, a place where you can be supported not just financially, but also mentally, spiritually, and physically. Not for any self-gaining reason, only because we care. So, leading into both of those dreams, I must have a next step. What would be an effective way for me to start building these dreams? Networking. My very next step is to go on this Nashville trip to meet more professionals and blow them away with my skills, kindness, and hard work. Getting to record my own song will be an incredibly valuable experience that I have never experienced before. But more than that, the connections are of even greater importance. That is why I'm using this incredible opportunity as a networking experience. Here, I will share my vision for the future of music, get feedback, make long-lasting friendships and memories, so I can be supported when me and JD start Fresh Revolution Studios. The total cost for this incredible experience will be $2,535, which will pay for the travel expenses, lodging, food, and studio time, and the final parts of finalizing the song, like the pro mix and the pro master. The price also includes expenses for some custom guitar picks with my name and contact info that I will order to give to the professionals I meet to leave a lasting impression. This is where you, the board, can help. I need your help in order to attend this trip. Can you fund this trip $2,535 so I can gain this incredible experience and gain these once-in-a-lifetime connections to help further my path into the music industry? In return, I promise to make sure that on this trip, I'm focused, that I stand out and am memorable so these successful people can believe in me and help me in my journey. I promise to take these connections and actually use them. Reach out, ask questions, make friends. And I promise to always have good intentions in every action I take toward my vision for the music industry. And finally, I want to thank you and make just one last promise. I want to promise you that all of these efforts, the years that I will spend on this earth, will be to create a better one. Help me take the music industry and billions of dollars spent from this to this. I promise to create a space far away from that, a place that upholds truth and light that will, in turn, affect the influence that leads the world into something that God will smile at. Every step I take to create this future, such as a trip like this, is a step towards glory, truth, and light. And now, with your help on my NGA path, I'm truly on my way to becoming a world changer. Now, more than ever, I know for a fact that my music is far more than a hobby. Thank you. I'm going to quickly just thank you guys so much for being here and supporting all of us. We worked so hard, and we really appreciate your support, so thank you. I also want to call out quickly there is a link on this pamphlet, and also right here, that basically is a page with all of our contact information. If you want to, give us connections or help us in any way you think you can, that would be very much appreciated. I'm going to ask quickly for Launchpad to come up here so we can get one last round of applause and also pictures. So they're gonna walk up, and you guys can applaud if you want. This is just for pictures, guys. Thanks for the applause. Okay, cool.
Thank you. Also, technicians, thank you.
Yes, thank you, technicians. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. Have a great day.